Thank you. After about a week of testimony, objections, and arguments, the verdict now rests in the jury's hands for the murder trial of former Sangamon County Sheriff's Deputy Sean Grayson. They must decide between first-degree murder, which is murder with intent and premeditation, second-degree murder, murder without premeditation, or acquitting him on those charges. We're going to turn things over to Gianna Zhao now. She is live outside the courtroom with the latest details.
Yeah, that's right. Jury deliberation has been underway since noon as Sonia Massey's family listened in closely in the courtroom as the prosecution and defense both argued if the shooting was justified or not. First State's Assistant Attorney Mary Beth Rogers told jurors just because he's wearing a uniform doesn't mean he deserves to use deadly force. She emphasized that Massey, weighing only 114 pounds, posed no threat and that the deputy had no legal right to pursue and shoot her in her own kitchen. However, defense attorney Foltz countered, labeling the case a tragedy, not a crime. He implored jurors to set aside emotion, arguing Grayson believed Massey was about to attack and acted in self-defense, as permitted by Illinois law. The judge has instructed jurors to consider charges of first-degree murder, second-degree murder, or a not guilty verdict. Deliberations are expected to conclude as early as tomorrow. And Sonia Massey's family and civil rights attorney Ben Crump will be holding a conference following the verdict. Live outside the Peoria County Courthouse, Gianna Zhao, 25 News.